you're watching CricketNext, and today, in this new episode of Business of Sports, I have come up with a very, very important and interesting topic. In today's episode, we'll be talking about the legend of the game, Sachin Tendulkar. And this episode will be about how Brand Sachin transformed to Brand SRT. Well, not only that, Sachin turns 50. And when I say 50, it's such a big number. 50. Those memories, that nostalgia actually comes to my mind again and again. But in all those 50 years, we witnessed a fascinating and endearing fairy tale in the world of cricket that we haven't seen anywhere around the world. Now, to discuss upon how was this journey, what all happened with Sachin, and a lot more, I have with me Network 18 Group Sports Editor K. Shriniwas Rao, who has tracked Sachin Tendulkar for over 35 years. For the first 14 years as a cricket fan, and then obviously some odd 20 years as a journalist. Now, Srini, I want to know, when I say Sachin Tendulkar, what are the first few things that come to your mind?
Okay, first of all, let's wish Sachin a very happy 50th. Today is the birthday.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him the other day when I did an interview for Network 18.
Yeah.
And I told him that given your conversion rate, 100 is just around the corner. And he joked. And he said, yes, these days there's DRS.
Yeah.
So yes, the humor, the simplicity, the joy in talking to Sachin Tendulkar. Today, at 50, makes me realize what a lovely man this guy is. And, it's been a good fortune of sorts to just, in knowing him, in getting to interact with him, in getting to know him better. And that's why when you ask me, what is the first thing that comes to mind? So many things at once. The moment you say the name Sachin Tendulkar, your mind, your gray cells begin to work, just gets flooded, thoughts flood. The first thing that comes to mind, I think, Suramya, is the fact that a man can continue at a professional level playing a sport, playing a professional sport at the highest level for 25 plus years.
Yeah, right.
25 plus years. It's not 25 plus years that the man has played the sport. The man has played the sport for 25 plus years at the top.
Yeah.
He still plays the sport. He still plays for the fun of it. Before 1989, he played the sport. He played first class cricket.
Yeah.
He did a lot of things. And now, today, he just doesn't play cricket.
Yeah.
When he's free, he plays golf. If he's free, he plays tennis. If he's free, he plays table tennis. And he tells me, everybody should at least play one sport in life and continue to play it. So, 25 years to play professional sport at the highest level. To have a career, those 25 years have constituted and given us a career that is defining in every small single way.
Yeah.
It is defining in terms of the disciplined life that Sachin Tendulkar has lived.
Yeah.
A controversy-free, span that he has, traversed. And while doing all of that, excelled and at least tried to excel in anything and everything that he did.
Yeah.
And the last bit, till the final day of his cricketing career, enjoyed every moment on the field.
Wow. And that's the magic he created, And he enjoyed the game. That's why everybody else enjoyed watching him on the field. And that's what makes the whole difference, between him and others, so to say. But Srini, for 14 years, you watched him as a cricket fan. And then one day, obviously, as a journalist, you might have seen him, you might have met him. So when did the metamorphosis begin? When did you find out, this is the making of Brand Sachin?
Met him, I remember. Of course, I'll go back, but because you talked about met him, I can tell you that there was a phase in his career, or rather in my career as a journalist and his career as a cricketer. I remember that Sachin Tendulkar is standing there in front of you, okay?
Okay.
You're a journalist. Obviously, you confidence driven, you think no story can go past you.
Yeah.
And you have all the confidence, at least I did.
Yeah.
And there's one thing I tell you about Sachin. You would think 100 times before going and nudging him, and before going and you look at him, especially if he's coming back from the nets, because that's the only time that you would get to see them
Yeah.
up close, right?
Yeah.
Either when they're going up to the nets or
Yeah.
coming back from the nets.
Yeah.
Going into the nets, you would look at him and like, can I go and say hello to him? And then you would be like, no, not now. This guy would like only batting would be on the top of his mind.
Yeah.
Coming back from the nets, you would look at him. Should I go and say hello
Yeah.
to him now?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't know how his session went
Yeah.
there. What is probably thinking
Yeah.
or something. At any given time, Sachin Tendulkar made you, and that was, I actually asked him about this. I told him, I said, all your career, professional life, you made sure that there was this barrier between you and every other outsider, which you controlled. So if Sachin wanted that barrier removed, he would be this friendly guy who would invite you into
Oh.
his world.
Okay.
And then if he didn't, and if he wanted solo Tendulkar time, that barrier would be there, and you would immediately know that this is not the right time to go and say hello to Sachin.
Okay.
Maybe it just comes naturally to people of that
Stature.
yeah. That said, my initial memories of Sachin, my first ever memories of Sachin, I can tell you. And I'll tell you why, because as a youngster, I remember this, and I'm from the fading Gavaskar era. Like I started watching cricket when Gavaskar was retiring, right? And I don't have a lot of memories of those years. Whatever little I can remember though is probably sitting in front of a television screen at home. There used to be a black and white television at home, those grainy television screens. And Gavaskar's face would never be visible on the television screen, right? So I had to go close to the screen, and I thought, because under the floppy hat he used to wear a skull cap.
Yeah.
So even when he removed his cap for to raise his bat for a century, you still couldn't see his face properly because of the skull cap, right?
Yeah.
So while he was fielding and all, I used to go close to the screen, stick my nose to the television screen and look up if I could see under the hat, if I could see. And I told Sunny Bhai about this, and Sunny Bhai was like laughing. In fact, I was having a chat with Sachin also. And I told him that, the difference is that 2.5 years later when Sachin Tendulkar came and made his debut, look at the number of developments that happened in India. Cable television was coming in.
Yeah.
Economy was operating. Color television. I remember my house. My mother and father went and bought a new color TV, an Optonica it was. Right? And I realized, first of all, the onset of color television, any which ways we loved sport. And the onset of color television made us, oh my God, the grass is actually green.
Oh, yeah.
So that kind of thing. And then to watch a young Sachin Tendulkar wearing that white helmet and, you having heard, I wasn't from Bombay. So we had only heard tales of this young guy who was hitting centuries by the dozen. And then to see him walk out and face, which I think the finest of bowlers, 25 years, that guy has faced the finest of bowlers across.
Yes.
So these days when I hear comparisons, I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah. So the first memories of Sachin Tendulkar is this, falling in love with this young teenager who we could identify with on color television, and not just me, because I loved the game. My mother, my grandmother, ladies in the house were like, "Kaun hai ye chota bachcha? Who's this young boy?" So everybody fell in love with the idea of that Sachin Tendulkar. And then his batting did everything else.
Absolutely. And as you said,
and humility, sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right. But as you said, that little kid, I know that I have heard stories from my parents, my grandparents, that when they used to switch on to the television and watch cricket, they all used to think, who's that little boy? In 90s, a little boy creating magic. It was out of anybody's imagination, Srini, at that point of time.
Yes.
But as a curious kid right now, I want to know that when did that transformation from Brand Sachin to Brand SRT happen? Because as you were talking about, the transformation from black and white television to color television, this actually makes me feel that the transformation from Brand Sachin to Brand SRT and the growth of Sachin is quite synonymous to Indian growth story as well.
True. The growth, Sachin Tendulkar growth story is so synonymous with the India growth story. I'll just give you in just very quick points I'll make. The price of 10 gram gold
Okay.
in the year 1995 was 4,300 rupees. 24
Yeah.
carat 10 gram gold.
Okay.
Today we are in 2023. The price of 10 gram gold is about touching 60,000.
Right.
Right? Sachin Tendulkar signed his first professional contract in 1995 with Voltel,
Yeah.
which was pegged at 45 crore.
And that was not the concept back then.
Oh,
There
yes.
was nothing of that sort
Yes.
happening with anybody else.
So,
that
okay,
time.
yeah. So, Sachin Tendulkar is the first Indian sports person, not cricketer. First Indian sports
Okay.
person to sign a professional contract.
Okay.
Okay. Nobody. Before that, a Palmolive comes to a cricketer, says, we want to do an ad with you. They cut a check and the cricketer does an ad. And Palmolive, I'm just giving an example. But any big superstar doing an ad, the company brand would come to the player. And, kind of Brill Cream has in the past, Farooq contractor. Farooq Engineer. I'm
Farooq
sorry.
Engineer.
Farooq Engineer became the first Indian cricketer to actually be, to be a brand ambassador of a product. But there the product got in touch with brand engineer, right? Sachin Tendulkar in 1995 when he signed his first Worldtel deal at 45 crores, a 5-year deal, he became the first ever professional Indian sports person to sign a contract, right? For 5 years for a company to manage him.
Yeah.
And he speaks very beautifully about this. You should watch the interview that he's given to CricketNext, where he says that came from a middle class family. Father was a poet, a writer.
Yeah.
Brother was a very simple man. Loved cricket. The family was, Sachin says, the family was so simple. I mean, the last thing we knew was money. Money was definitely not in the scheme of things, So, it was Ravi Shastri who introduced Sachin to this man called Mark Mascarenhas, who I was talking to Sachin, I called him Sachin's Jerry Maguire. And Sachin was introduced by Ravi to this man. And Sachin said that somebody had to, because see, money would automatically become a part of his life because of, as I said, India as a country was beginning to grow. The sport game of cricket was beginning to grow. Sachin had talent in abundance and he was gradually beginning to prove himself season after season. So it's only natural that money would become a central part of his life, right?
Yeah.
So what Sachin says is that I couldn't have allowed my game to be dictated by outside interferences. So I wanted money to become a separate space altogether where somebody else would do it for me. So that where my game is concerned, I would not get bothered by things outside of the ambit of cricket itself. And that's why he's thankful to Mark. The way Mark, he says, Mark never pushed me into doing something which was before the game itself.
Oh, and that's something very big, something
Yes.
very important.
Yes.
That you treat your game as your first priority.
And in that, yes. I mean, in that, he said that those people allowed him to concentrate on his game. And that is why cricket always remained his top priority. Now, coming back to, the India growth story we're talking about and the gold rate, I said. Why did I mention that? Is because the 1995 Worldtel contract that Sachin Tendulkar signed was at 45 crore. And that is when the price of gold was 4,300, 10 gram gold. So the price of dollar, if you adjust the price of dollar, if you adjust it for inflation after all these years, that 45 crore deal that he signed in 1995 today should be worth more than 650 crore rupees. That same deal in 2001 was renewed. And Sachin Tendulkar signed a brand new 5-year 100 crore deal in 2001 with the same people, Voltel. If adjusted for inflation, that deal today would be worth 1200 crore plus.
Absolutely.
Now we are talking about a time when there was no internet, no digitization, no brand marketing, no fancy, marketing MBAs, floating around.
Yeah, and also there was no social media.
Oh, yes, yes.
No
yes.
social media that
No
time.
social media, no YouTube,
No Instagram, nothing.
no 10 seconds per ad commercial. So, keeping all of this in mind, between 1995 and 2001, Sachin Tendulkar signed deals worth 1800 crores. India's Michael Jordan, I would say Asia's Michael Jordan. Signed deals worth 1800 plus crore. Let your mind wander. You can do the math in terms of what I'm trying to say here. And that professionalism, he just opened the floodgates for Indian cricket.
Yeah.
What Brand Sachin did for the generations that followed is phenomenal. And when Suramya, you asked about the India growth story, I've already mentioned how, look at the coincidences of his early career. 99 he makes his debut, 90 the government changes, 91 economic liberation happens, 92 cable television comes into India, and the list goes on and it doesn't end. And I think it is between signing that 45 crore deal and renewing that 100 crore deal is when Brand Sachin moved to becoming Brand SRT.
Yeah, and this is where you find the beauty of Sachin and his game also. It's not that things were happening and he was not at the top of his career or he was not playing well. Everything was happening very smoothly and he was becoming that star of the game and everybody was enjoying watching him on the field. But Srini, there came a phase where it was tennis elbow, back injury, a tough phase. I mean, we know that, with cricketers, injuries also come in. But with Sachin, there was a phase where people thought that he won't be coming back to the field and he might take a break from this game or he might not even play the sport. And he was very young at that point of time, perhaps at the top of his career at that point of time. And everybody thought so. And he must have gone through a lot of pain. Obviously, not only physically but mentally, because you really want to be there on the field. And I saw your interview with the man himself, and you guys can also watch that interview. It's on CricketNext. Shriniwas Rao has interviewed Sachin Tendulkar and he has shared some of the very interesting stories. And there he talked about his injury as well.
I told him, I said, listen, you owe your doctors a big meal once every year. You need to keep taking them. Because he himself says that, whatever time of the day, whatever time of the night, they were always around for me. At midnight, he used to wake up his doctors, wake up his physiotherapist, wake up the masseur, and they were always around. They loved him. They didn't see him as a guy who was in need of medical treatment. They thought we are privileged that Sachin, takes it for granted that he can call us at 2 a.m. And we are there for Sachin. That love is humongous, is incomparable in today's time, in today's world of, signing multi-million-dollar contracts. I don't think I can put that in word what it means. Today you have the greatest of professionals, but that love, that genuine love and affection was not there. It was there during the time of Sachin. And he is so humble and he's so thankful to each and everyone who has played such an important role in his life. And going further, talking about his injuries, nothing pulled him down in his professional life as much as 3 injuries in this particular order: back, tennis elbow, and toe injury.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Toe injury, kind of was, it kept coming back because because wearing the shoe all the time, and it just didn't allow him to rest his this thing, and it was again an irritating phase of his life. Tennis elbow, I don't know how many would remember those headlines, Suramya, where there would be a phase when Sachin Tendulkar spoke to the media and said, I couldn't even lift a cup of tea. The doctors had advised me to completely rest the hand and not do anything with it, and that was a phase where we thought, oh my God, what is happening to this man? Will he ever be able to come back and go on to become the same batting superstar that we know? I remember when he was coming back from tennis elbow, that phase, that the joyfulness among fans wherever he would appear, and people around him could never get enough of Tendulkar. I'll give you an example. In fact, it's part of my interview also with Sachin Tendulkar, where I tell him that in 2005, I used to work for a newspaper back then. My editor called me and said, Shriniwas, can you quickly travel to Hyderabad?
Okay.
So we all knew why Hyderabad is because Sachin Tendulkar was just going to make his comeback in a Duleep Trophy game to prove his match fitness, and he was coming back from the tennis elbow injury. Yes. So he was going to be in Hyderabad. It was a big game, South Zone versus West Zone. All the big names were participating. VVS Lakshman, Anil Kumble, Rahul Dravid, Zahir Khan, Ajit Agarkar, Lakshmipati Balaji, Parthiv Patel, Dinesh Karthik. You name it, they were playing that game. Because
all
again, imagine the importance. They were all playing this game because to prove their fitness for selection. That is how important these players used to keep Ranji Trophy and the Duleep Trophy. I mean, okay, let's not digress. So, Sachin was making a comeback, and I rushed to Uppal. Uppal is a suburb in Hyderabad, and the stadium, it was earlier called the Visakha International Stadium, named after a cement company. The work had stalled there because of some, renaming of the stadium. This thing and all was going on. So because of that, the work had stalled. So the stadium had a huge hallway entrance. Because the work had stalled, it was all dark, and it was never lit properly. So Sachin Tendulkar was going to come back on that day for his match practice session. Everybody else was there. So Sachin's vehicle came. He got out of the car and he walked into the lobby. And there must have been around 25-30 photographers, local and photographers who travelled and all inside that hallway, that dark hallway where Sachin was walking in. And they all started clicking his picture. So the flashbulbs went up. And that entire dark hallway, there was daylight.
Oh.
There was daylight. So, I'll explain to you. What happens is when the shutterbug, when the camera shutterbugs go like cut, like, the series, they go like a machine gun, right? I remember like it was yesterday. The only other place where I have heard the shutterbugs go with that speed is when you are in a forest and you sight a tiger. Like, it goes in a row. Fascinating.
So I can imagine it like when the tiger comes out of the bushes in the dark, and it's like the king coming
and this photographer doesn't want to miss a moment.
And that's what Sachin Tendulkar means to each and everyone. Well, we have here discussed about Sachin Tendulkar's injury. Srini's memory is about Sachin Tendulkar, but Sachin Tendulkar has lived a very difficult life because you're playing the sport, and there are times when you don't perform, so you also face criticism and then injuries, of course. But then he reigned supreme in the world of cricket. He became the superstar of cricket. Now what lured all these brands to be associated with Sachin? What was the X factor in Sachin Tendulkar that kept him at the center of attraction for all the brands and fans from across the world?
See, so what happened with the opening of the economy?
Okay.
India as a country was like opening up to a better lifestyle. Middle class. India's middle class was aspiring. And an aspiring middle class sought, greater comforts in life. And this was the time of, the FMCG boom in India, where आप टिकिया से आप कपड़े धोते हैं, like you use it, you use a soap to wash clothes, a soap bar to wash clothes, right? Use powder. Use a wash powder. These brands were coming into India. India was just about waking up and you had and soft drinks were making a comeback into this country. Coca-Cola was coming back to the country. Pepsi in a large way had kind of begun to invest in India, and these guys, these brands were looking for a face. What were the options? There were not many options. I mean, and suddenly you had this teenager moving into the 20s who was a bundle of joy, bundle of talent, bundle of innocence, and perfect middle class background,
Yeah.
and a face that not just young boys wanted to see in front of the television on television batting. Fathers wanted their sons to be like him.
Yeah,
Parents
absolutely.
wanted their daughter to get married to a boy like him. Moms wanted a boy like him. Grandmothers wanted a grandson like him.
Yeah.
And cricket fans wanted a batter like him, right? And aspiring cricketers wanted to bat like him.
Yeah.
So, what can I say? And here was this guy. You would ask him. There's this very popular interview of a young Sachin Tendulkar on YouTube. You should go and watch it, where he speaks with former actor and cricket writer and powerhouse of talent that he was, Mr. Tom Malta.
Yeah.
He gave him an interview as a young 16-year-old boy who could possibly be picked for the tour of West Indies. We don't know. Mr. Alter is asking him, Sachin, so what do you think? You'll have to face big fast bowlers. Main khelega. I'm not afraid. I'll play. That is the Sachin everybody fell in love with.
And he said that he loves to play the fast bowlers.
Yeah.
Because bat pe aati hai ball.
As it is, he wanted to be a fast bowler.
Yeah.
So, he said, I love to play fast bowlers because ball comes onto the bat. No. So, this young boy speaking his mind, I think it was only natural that a growing India fell in love with this growing young boy who could sell dreams. I think that's what happened. I don't think a cola brand may have made many advertisements, but when I look back in life, I still think some of those commercials that came out in the 90s are just dream-driven commercials.
Yeah. Absolutely. And those commercials actually brought life to the television, and those commercials also actually, associated us to our role models, and to, we always wanted to see those people on screen. And when I'm saying about, those people on screen here, I mean another superstar. And when I'm drawing the parallels, I can think of only one name who had similar story, similar to what Sachin Tendulkar also faced. A man who got an injury on the set of Coolie, and everybody thought that he won't return to the big screen. And yes, you all might have guessed it by now, it's none other than Amitabh Bachchan.
Yes.
And so Srini, do you think these two were and are these superstars and nobody else?
Three. Not just these two, I would say. The three names who stand out. There are stars this country has seen, celebrities this country has seen, and there are superstars this country has seen. And I'll say there are three superstars.
Okay.
You just took the name of Mr. Amitabh Bachchan, and why it is special is because Mr. Bachchan's greatness doesn't just lie in what he was as an actor and what he accomplished in between the 70s and the 80s. Went on to become India's greatest superstar ever.
Yeah.
Where I would like to draw your attention to one of the quotes that former legendary director Prakash Mehra said about Amitabh Bachchan. He said, the heights of stardom that Amitabh Bachchan has seen, I don't think anybody after this will ever be able to witness. That was the legend of Amitabh Bachchan, the actor superstar.
Yeah.
And why Amitabh Bachchan's career is so exciting and aspiring and a lesson for all of us is not just because of the acting superstar that he was, but then once he took that retirement from acting, and then kind of his business troubles happened and everything. The way he fought all of that to not just come back but to come back and once again go on to become double the superstar that he was. That journey, that beauty of a journey, it is synonymous. Why I see that it's synonymous with Sachin Tendulkar also is because look at Sachin. We were talking about the injury phase in 2004, 2005. Back, toe, tennis elbow. Every month, every 2 months, we would wonder where is Sachin's career going. Is he the same batsman? I don't think, I remember in the tour of Pakistan, the first tour of Pakistan, where he was not able to connect the balls. Even the second one, 2006 tour, where, people, so-called experts had started saying, some said, his eyesight could be a problem, some said reflexes are a thing.
True.
And then, 2006 going on 2007, this man makes a comeback.
And that with a bang.
Guy kind of, he hit the kind of form that we had seen in the 90s, late 90s. That is the kind of form that he started hitting. Sachin Tendulkar speaking in the second phase was massive, humongous. And look at that. I mean, he went on and on. 2010, he just peaked. I remember it was my birthday, 24th of February, 2010. I'm sitting for lunch. It was the year I got married. I was engaged a month back. I was sitting at a cafe. We had called friends over for lunch. It was 24th of Feb 2010. I remember sitting by the Marine Drive at a pizza cafe waiting for my friends to come. Not a single guy arrived in time. Everybody was late. You know why? Because they were all busy at their house watching Sachin Tendulkar score his double hundred. First double hundred against South Africa.
Yes.
How can I forget? And he kept peaking and peaking and peaking, and oh my god, I mean, and then the guy goes on to achieve that one dream that he wanted to win the World Cup in 2011. So, sweet, successful career. But why I said 3 and not 2 is, Suramya, never forget, the man with the Midas touch of the 90s. Mr. Shah
Rukh Khan, yeah.
It
was the charmer of
again
90s.
A similar growth story. A young boy comes from nowhere, no family background, comes from middle class family, catches the imagination. His innocence catches the imagination of the length and breadth of this country.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to become that he becomes, and of course, why he called Shah Rukh Khan the superstar? Not because of the actor that he is. Many who are watching this show might think that Shah Rukh Khan ko acting kahan aata hai. I see a lot of people saying, Shah Rukh Khan has taught India's movie industry how to market itself and how to raise the bar in terms of the exercise that is unfolding. Today, if you see the movie industry to be the kind of $1 billion industry that it is, and on a ticking daily basis, Mr. Shah Rukh Khan has a lot of contribution towards it, apart from of course being the superstar that he is. So anyway, so these 3 men of serious consideration.
Yeah, and they are still the superstars. Not only the 90s, they are still the superstars, and people worship them for their contributions to their respective industries. But here, Srini, I want to go back to our discussion where were you talking about, how Sachin Tendulkar signed some professional contracts in the 90s, and those were first of its kind. I want to know why they were the first of its kind, and if you can also tell me the values of those contracts.
Yeah, so I think I touched upon the value a while back in the conversation. Why first of its kind is because, as I said, until 1995, nobody, no sports person in this country, cricketer definitely, I mean, cricketers who was the bigger superstar until Sachin arrived? Gavaskar, right? Sunny Gavaskar and Kapil Dev. Kapil Dev, by virtue of having won the 83 World Cup, was obviously who he is. And until by the time he retired, he retired as the world's highest wicket taker after beating Richard Hadley, Richard Hadley. So again, I mean, as much as these were the superstars in sport, across any sport for that matter, it is Sachin Tendulkar who signed the first professional contract as a sports person. A 5-year deal where there would be a proper agency, and the value of the deal was like, kind of what Sachin Tendulkar would earn. Was written in black and white on a contract paper, and it didn't just allow Sachin Tendulkar to set forth a trend. It allowed him to bring in a set of professionals who would look at that space and allow him in turn to concentrate on his cricket. It upped the brand game for the coming generation of sports persons and celebrities. That aside, what it did was it opened the floodgates for the game of cricket in India to capture the imagination of a brand.
Oh, okay.
Cricketers to come for years would reap the benefits out of what Sachin Tendulkar managed to put in place. The professionalism part. Somebody can argue with me saying that no, if not for Sachin, later on somebody else would have done it. Yes, but in the interim, see how many opportunities would have been lost. Mid-90s, the Saurav Gangulys, Rahul Dravids, VVS Lakshmans, turn of the century, Virendra Sehwag, Yuvraj Singh, Zahir Khan. catch hold of anybody, catch hold of a Virendra Sehwag, catch hold of a Yuvraj Singh, catch hold of a Zahir Khan, catch hold of a Harbhajan Singh, catch hold of a Saurav Ganguly, ask them what was this man's contribution in helping the identity of a brand in terms of, vis-a-vis cricket. And this was again only the nascent beginning stage.
Yeah.
And what eventually cricket would go on to become post turn of the century. The man had a big role to play, and undoubtedly so. He signed his next deal of 100 crore, which we talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. And here, Shrini, one thing that caught my attention, and what I feel, everything happened. You talked about the deals, you talked about the contract, you talked about, his stature, you talked about, how big a cricketer he is. But everything with simplicity. I never saw Sachin Tendulkar, even in your interview, the way he's giving answers, the way he's talking about his journey, so humble. So it seems like a normal, simple man sitting across the table, just telling that, I was there in that tour. I mean, it's one of the kinds. I don't remember any other cricketer I've ever seen, or for that matter, a superstar that I've ever seen who talks with such simplicity, Srini.
Oh yeah, simple man.
Yeah.
Simple man, puts his head down, goes about his job. I remember, you should watch his reels,
The mango, where he stops by and he takes that mango. Also, he's going to, I think, Goa, and then he stops by, and then at a tea stall. I mean, so
I was at a tea stall, I asked him, I said, do you know how much of a difference you must have made to that man's life?
Yeah.
For the rest of his life, he'll tell his grandchildren that Sachin Tendulkar stopped by at this tea stall, mere haath ka chai piya, chai at my stall. So he said, yeah, fine. I mean, he can benefit from me. I also benefited from him. I got chai, no? So both of us benefited. That is his simplicity. I mean, both of us benefited. He got to serve me chai and click a selfie with me, and I got to have chai and nan katai. So, that's how he sees it.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, what you're saying is so true. I mean, the guy is simplicity. That 89 series in Pakistan, that match in that practice game where that he got hit on the nose and he got up and he said, "Nahi, main khelega." I think until the day when he retired, and I think "Nahi, main khelega" is who Sachin was. I mean, even on the last day of retirement in 2013, Test match where he gave that amazing speech, just brought everybody to tears. It's very weird. He had a paper in which he had generally written down names. That's it.
Okay.
That who all he needs to probably
needs to
thank. So there was a list of some 6-7 people, it's kids, Anjali, MCA, BCCI, and all of them. The star guy came, the broadcaster came and said that, Sachin, you'll go on stage and there'll be this prize distribution and Ravi will ask you, Ravi Shastri will ask you 2-3 questions. And he's like, okay. So he said, can I say something? He said, yeah. So the broadcaster said, of course, boss, the mic is yours, the field is yours, the stage is yours. If you want to say, what else can we ask for? He impromptu went in with those 5-6 names. The rest continued. He says, I saw Sachin, Saurav and Rahul and VVS on the screen. I spoke about them. I saw the crowd. I spoke about them. It was impromptu, and then it became what it became. And now, can that happen to everyone? No, it only has to. The crowd was egging him on to speak, and that Sachin was going on, and they were. Come on, I mean, got to be human, not to be human, to not have tears in your eyes.
Exactly.
And he just went on, and it became the memory of a lifetime.
Absolutely. And I believe that, there are so many people who wanted to just have that one look of Mr. Sachin Tendulkar. I have seen so many interviews where people did a lot more than they could just to watch their man on the field for one last time. But Srini, in this episode so far, we have talked about Sachin, the brand Sachin, the brand SRT. Now post retirement, 10 years since its retirement, that brand resettled as well, but the value remains intact, right? And it continues to be, and I believe that it will continue to be. Now, what makes that value to remain intact even today? There must be something.
I think it is. It has to do with cricket's recollection value. As club cricket begins to grow and bilateral cricket makes way for traditional bilateral cricket makes way for club cricket. There have been a few generations that have grown up on a very heavy diet of good bilateral cricket. Those generations are still watching the sport. Those generations are still consuming every bit of content. Now, why I'm saying this is because that cricket was far inferior, not like club cricket where every day you're crunched with matches across the globe. So what happened was, when you saw a game, you remembered a game. When you remembered a game, it had recollection value. And that recollection value of the days, years gone by has great value even today. Whereas what club cricket is doing is, if I ask you for about a T20 game 4 days ago, unless somebody did something miraculously good, you probably wouldn't remember the game. You wouldn't remember the small things in a game, right?
Exactly, yeah.
But you remember every small thing of the game in the 90s because that was a charm. And when you watch Sachin Tendulkar play, you absorbed every bit. That recollection value, first of all, allows it to be the brand, allows Sachin to retain that brand value. Second, the humility and simplicity of the man combine themselves with that recollection of the man as a cricketer, and both again become a potent mix. Third, I think, is that, I don't want to get into numbers here, but I can tell you, Virat Kohli, MS Dhoni, Sachin Tendulkar, that's still the order of merit. And I think for a cricketer who's retired 10 years down the line to actually be up there says so much about the brand he is. And that, I think, is purely because of the trendsetter that he is, the skills that he has, mounted as a professional in his career, and the simple man that he continues to be. That's it.
Absolutely. And he'll continue to be, the charm of Indian cricket, and obviously.
Let me put it this way.
Okay.
Sachin went on to become SRT and now has come back to being Sachin.
That's so true, and I'll tell you why. Because a few days back, you all might have seen one clip where Sachin was seen with his son. Obviously, his son made his debut in IPL, and after that, there were multiple media reports about, what Sachin must have advised his son, what Sachin must have done, this, that. And then there was this one report that caught my attention, and I was quite emotional when I was reading that report, Srini. The report was that Sachin had tears in his eyes when he saw his son. And, people think many things because they feel that, oh, Sachin is a superstar, he must be doing this. But he's a simple man. And he said that, for like every father, it's a dream come true to see your son over there. Same for Sachin Tendulkar. And as Srini mentioned in this whole episode, how simple a man he is. And that's how the whole journey has transformed, and the whole journey has come to be Sachin to SRT to Sachin. And today, as we celebrate his 50th birthday, I believe each one of us must be having our own share of memories related to Sachin Tendulkar. And I'll share one of my memories. I remember I was a kid, and there was this match happening. Kids really don't know, what's happening. I must be 3 or 4 year old. And we weren't in a position to, I think, kind of losing the match. India was losing the match, and my father said, no, there is Sachin Tendulkar. And India won that match, I remember. And my father was so happy. And he just said that there's Sachin Tendulkar. And I felt like, how can somebody, think of a man, okay, Sachin Tendulkar is there, we'll win the match. There is Sachin Tendulkar. And that's how the man was, and he is, and he will continue to be. So thank you so much, Srini, for joining with me. It was a great episode talking about a man who has done so much to this sport and to the country.
Yes.
Obviously. Thank you so much, and thank you so much everyone for joining with us. You can share your memories of Sachin Tendulkar, the first time you might have seen him, or the first match that you saw Sachin playing in. Anything that you feel like you can share with us in the comment section. Till then, you keep watching Cricket Next, क्योंकि cricket मतलब cricket next.